Hi, Cancer. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for January of 2020. We still got that big pile of Capricorn planets moving through your seventh house. Some of them are moving so slowly. So that's going to be a topic today. But before we even get there, Julia has some thoughts on Mars and Venus and Mercury. What do you think, Julia?
Sure, Jamie. So Cancer, Mars, the planet of activity, spends most of the month in your sixth house of work because it enters the sixth on January 3rd.
Mm.
So you're going to be really driven to accomplishing a lot on your job, or you may be putting your energy on initiating a new health routine, which is also ruled by the sixth house, or maybe laying down more organizational structures because this is also the house of Virgo. Then Venus begins this month in your eighth house of sexual intimacy.
Mm.
So that means it is, excuse me, what that means is that if you have a partner, you may be wanting to sort of enhance the intimacy which you two share together, or you may be finding pleasure in, because pleasure is what Venus rules, in some sort of social taboo of some kind. And I'll just leave that to your imagination. Then when Venus
Please
enters
do,
the ninth
Julia.
house, I know.
Please do.
Whatever that means to you, it's the house of Pluto. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
And
truly.
then Venus enters your ninth house on January 13th, and that's the house of international travel. You're going to, let's say if you're away on a holiday during that time, it might be a good time for finding a foreign romance. And if you are partnered, then you and your partner may enjoy going on some adventure together or even some type of travel together because it's the house of expansive experiences. Now, next I want to talk about Mercury. And Mercury is the planet of thinking and communication. And Mercury begins this month in your seventh house of partnership. Though you can also think of the seventh house as the house of consultants. So this is a really good time for finding and speaking to a consultant, maybe a social media consultant or a medical one, or maybe even a legal consultant like a lawyer. Then when Mercury enters your eighth house of shared resources, on January 16th, your mind is going to be on security matters, maybe downsizing your debt in some way, or thinking about making a fruitful investment for your life. And then the last planet I want to talk about is the Sun. And the Sun begins this month in your house of partnership, the seventh house, which means you may be identifying with your partnership more during this time because wherever we have the Sun is where we identify. So you may feel stronger with your partner than on your own, for example. And then the Sun's going to enter your eighth house. Again, that's the house of transformation on January 20th. So then you're going to be very focused on making some type of personal transformation of some kind. Maybe that means losing a little bit of holiday weight or quitting smoking or some other activity that you just want to transform away from. And what do you think about that big pile of Capricorn and the eclipses, Jamie?
Mm, yeah, I that big pile of Capricorn is really something, and it's going to continue to keep the emphasis on relationship, I think, for quite some time. So, if you were thinking about getting a reading, Cancer, I would say the lifelong love reading, you couldn't do worse than that right now. It would be the really best choice. Um, And and that brings me to January 10th in particular, which is a day with a lot of stuff happening on it all at once. One is what I like to call Epiphany Day, Greater Epiphany Day, actually. And that's when Mercury and the Sun form a conjunction while Mercury is direct and moving forward. So, because direct motion means forward motion, it's the opposite of retrograde motion, and that means that Mercury has some speed, and that means that projects can move forward smoothly, more easily. Things don't tend to get so tangled up. It's just a really nice time for forward movement with anything that requires some organization. So that day is good for that. And in addition, we have Uranus, which has been retrograde for several months. The little red S here means that Uranus is stationing and turning direct. And if you watch the numbers change over the following days after January 10th, you see that Uranus is now, in fact, direct and moving forwards. And Uranus is the planet of genius. It's the planet of You might call it higher intelligence in a way. You can think of it as that side of us that thinks outside the box naturally and that doesn't like to be trapped into conventional ideas. So we get a little burst of genius and some liberation there on the 10th as well. And then there is a lunation that's really important too. And we can see that right here. Moon is in Cancer, Sun is in Capricorn, and that full moon is also an eclipse, a lunar eclipse. Now, eclipses are times when we are really made to look at our shadow. This particular time is going to be one that has to do with the themes of Cancer and Capricorn. And Cancer has to do with heart and feeling and hearth and home and family and bonds and emotional inner worlds, whereas Capricorn has to do with career and work and authority and harsh circumstances and working hard to overcome obstacles. So that's a much more armored way to be. So we have armored versus soft. And this particular dilemma of balancing those two is going to be playing out in your relationships. And that's why I mentioned relationships, because man, it is just such a theme for you right now. So if that moon in Cancer makes you want to, pull inward and engage in a little self-care to make up for all the hard work you do in your relationships, well, maybe that's exactly what's needed to bring things back into a balance, because Cancer, you're a giver, aren't you? So let's see, there's another moon coming at the end of the month on the 24th. And that is the new moon in Aquarius falling in your 8th house. And new moons are times of planting seeds, times of beginnings. And Julia talked about this before as being a house of, um, oh goodness, what did you call it? You called it the house of intimacy, and you called it, oh goodness, was it the house of sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so planting new seeds there might mean investing in others, and whether that means with your money or with your time or your precious attention, I don't know, but there's some new beginning there for you this month, Cancer. And that could be really lovely. Now, we have always got news videos going on, and this month they're aggregated into a playlist called January News Videos, and you'll find stuff there about this moon and also the eclipse. And also, if you look around in our playlists, you'll find one called 2020 News Playlist, and that has a super fantastic video about the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which is happening in your 7th house. So that is some of why relationships are so heavy for you, and why it just seems to go on and on how heavy they are for you. So there might be some interesting clues to be had over there as well. And I think that's all we've got. So I hope you enjoyed this. We certainly enjoyed making it for you. And we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye bye.